Alright, hello! My name is Mewbs, and this is another episode of Musings. I have no idea if this is Musing 6 or 7 or maybe something else entirely. Might be a mini Musings, who knows. I will say I just got out of therapy. It was a really nice session, and it was a really nice change of pace compared to what we've been doing before, and probably my favorite session of therapy so far. So much so, in fact, that I want to keep talking. One infuriating part about therapy is that it's only 50 minutes once a week, and I get excited about it. I get animated, as you can tell, and I'm trying to snowball this effect, which was something that I kind of intended with therapy, which is why I have therapy early in the morning, so I can use it to motivate myself moving forward for the rest of the day, just to snowball it into like a sort of like positive force in my life. You might notice I do not have headphones on. That is because I need a haircut, and just trying to wear headphones and make my hair look good. I don't know. My hair's long enough to put into a ponytail, but it's not like... It doesn't look good, at least in my opinion, which I try and be mindful of how I present on camera, so I am losing my mind with what to do, because I love putting my hair in a ponytail and having long hair, and I want to try growing it out more again. But I am not certain because I care a lot about how my hair looks on camera. You don't have to worry about that though. Unfortunately, I don't have a very specific plan for what to do in Minecraft. It was more so that I just wanted to do something to record another Musings because I want to talk about some of the things I talked about in therapy because I'm really excited about it, and I feel like just the headspace I'm at right now, especially in terms of how I am presenting and just going about talking, it's really exciting. Like, really exciting. So I guess, like, in the meantime, I can, I don't know, do a tour, just look around. I don't want to do too specific of things. One, because I don't want to take away and detract from the experience of talking. Multitasking is just very hard, so we can browse and peruse the chests. We can get on a horse. We can't get on a horse for some reason. Is that a saddle? No, that's not. It doesn't have a saddle on. That's why. Well, this is only 46. Also, there's... Is that moss? Oh my gosh, Sean is leveling up. He's using moss. Well, I don't like leaving empty holes, but if we just fill it up with pink wool, it won't be empty, and no one will have to know. Bam. Hopefully, never mind, there is no grass touching that. Let's switch it out for this one. Grass, moss, perfect. So one thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that I have been doing live streams as of late, and I've got to be honest, I have not been happy with them. Specifically, I've not been happy with my performance. I feel like I'm moving so slow, but maybe that's because I'm like hyper focused on like moving around efficiently, and like, for instance, if you take this is actually for enchanting, which I guess if I am doing a tour, I can just go ahead and show these buildings. This is for enchanting. As you can see, we have a bunch of different things in case you want to like upgrade your netherite, put on whatever for the armor templates, and then instead of walking, I will just fly over here and zip on to the silverfish XP thing. But yeah, so I have been live streaming a lot, and one thing that's been on my mind has been, I don't like the delivery that I have compared to like a Musings here, where I feel so much more capable of giving it my all and not really caring about like embarrassing myself or saying something and like having it be judged or whatever. It's not really present like it is in live streams. By the way, this is a villager trading hall. Pee pee poo poo was weird. And these are just temporary signs. It's not going to be like one villager per section, but like a bunch of villagers in these sections. But I have been procrastinating designing this. If you've seen the live stream, you know that I'm having issues with designing it. Specifically, the issue is I'm not taking time to design it. I'm kind of avoiding doing it for whatever reason. So you might think that this section over here is kind of overwhelming with like how many details there are, but I actually did that on purpose because all of these serve one function. It is to allow these villagers, which are scared by this zombie in here, to spawn iron golems, which I was really hoping we would get good timing, like right now. now. But basically this is an iron golem farm, which I'm sure he didn't design it himself, but still I am stealing this from my good pal Neo Draws. And hey big guy. So if we go down here, you can actually see it's like, you know, not too much here, but then, oh yeah, maybe that is a decent amount of iron. Maybe it is a decent amount of iron for how small it is. And so what's actually happening here, if we go back up here, all of these are strategically not grass blocks or something. Like if you get rid of this carpeted moss, an iron golem can stand there. If you make this dirt or something instead, an iron golem can spawn there. So there's like a bunch of things, because basically an iron golem needs a normal flat block with just air. So we have like a button, we have carpeted moss, we have flowers, we have a bunch of weeds, a bunch of things to where only in this pit can an iron golem spawn. And I made it like a big effort of mine to try and make this like sort of scenic and look natural and like just a really detailed build, with especially the like hay bales and like wagon over here, so that the iron golem isn't really like the focus, but only a part of like the functionality of it, just balancing the aesthetic and the function. I guess continuing on this way, and wow, my frames are starting to chunk, and you can see I have actually gotten some new mods, which I might have talked about in a live stream, or at least showcased it a little bit. I feel so good about this. We also have just amazing free cam. It's like so good for taking like, see like right there, that's just like kind of a screenshot, right? I have a bunch of new mods and stuff, still using Lunar client of course, but like I just love better F3 menu. It like the colors, the oversimplification, not even over, just the simplification of things. It feels so much better to me just being able to know like, hey, these are just the coordinates and I need to look out for like the blues, or over here, this is the FPS, and it's like on its own section, but it's with all of my different things. And you can see I'm killing my graphics card. And it has this fancy animation. So definitely check it out if you're interested. You can find all of them on Modrinth, I believe, but just make sure if it's like Fabric or Forge you're using that you get the appropriate version. They make it pretty user-friendly. Also, we got the lovely Aurora Borealis in the sky, all of the different floating things, as well as the beacons, just adding like more verticality to it. It's not like a perfect balance, especially if I come over here and it's like all of a sudden the beacon is blocking it. I think this beacon is a lot better since it's like when you're on the main area of Frostbite, which by the way, this town around us, this is like Frostbite, that's the name of it. But you can see even here with like my house that it's like in the back and it's not like in front blocking it or obscuring the view. And I was gonna come all the way over here, but it might not even reach. Oh, it just barely does. It's so pretty with the rainbow in the back. But yeah, you have like the beacon just not obstructing the view. That's like the main point. Let me walk so I can take a little bit more time to talk about what I talked about in therapy though. One thing that's been on my mind is this sort of weird phenomenon of being internal and external with where my thinking is residing. So I have like a hard time really describing it, and it was only today that I sort of came to name the phenomenon, where kind of like right now, I'm externally talking, and when I have like my internal monologue of thinking about things, I'm basically just vocalizing it. There's no like filter going on in my head right now. I don't have like passive thoughts I'm thinking about, or at least anything conscious that I'm thinking. It's all just sort of naturally coming out right now. But with that being said, like if I go into my head, it becomes internal, and so it feels like the sensation is in my prefrontal cortex, or just like in my brain in general. That's like the sort of like feeling of it, compared to, you know, kind of how I'm talking right now. This is external, and it's where I'm vocalizing things, like my mouth. And sometimes it feels like if I'm overwhelmed or in like a social setting and talking with others or something where I haven't like mentally prepared for it, it's like this external section just gets too far forward and I start rambling, or I'm unable to really like kind of just be the person I feel I actually am, especially when I'm just in my head, like with the internal. And so there can be like social situations where I just like tap out and I'm like more of a bystander than anything, just kind of observing. And it's not preferred. My preferred area is kind of having a balance of being internal and external. And it's like a sensation of like going back and forth and finding this really nice feeling middle ground. By the way, this over here is a bone meal farm, which it's totally like, it looks more complicated than it is. You just put like anything, like if we go over, take some wheat and some seeds and we put this in here, it'll go into this hopper, which is into the composter, into the hopper, and then it spits out bone meal. It's more decorative than anything. Like I have so much bone meal and like it's so easy to get bones. That's like vastly more efficient unless you set up a specifically efficient bone meal farm. But I don't know, I just like having a little thing out here that would be like with the farm that really fits like a detailed aesthetic. But yeah, moving along, and I think as I'm doing this sort of like tour, I'm just gonna sort of like look at things in the game and like trust that you can use your own eyes so that I don't need to talk about the thing I'm showcasing, because I really do want to focus on like what I have to say. Also, I love the firefly bushes. It's so pretty, just at night with like shaders especially. I know I just said I wasn't going to do this, but like I love how this like detailing came out, and I just am so excited to make like this entire land as detail oriented as this. But yeah, I guess as I'm walking through here with like this internal versus, I keep saying internal here. As I'm walking through here with like this internal versus external sort of thing, it feels like really hard to find this right balance. And I think that's why I love recording musings so much. I feel like I get that balance really nicely where I have this internal and it's the things I'm honestly thinking about. You know, I'm musing, going to the name of the series, and I can actually vocalize it and get it out into the world. And then through post-production with editing and stuff, I can like share that with others so that I'm able to meet this sort of like desire for both extroversion and introversion. I really recommend you like sort of think about in your life how you might get this balance, because some people, I'm sure it happens like way more naturally, but for me it's like something I'm very mindful of, and like I want to be mindful of because I want to be conscious of it to the degree that I can employ it consistently, but only to the degree that it becomes like just natural for me, kind of like how for a long time I practiced interacting with others with like good eyesight, just looking them in the eye, having like a conversation where I'm not like always on my phone or something, so that now at this point I don't even think about it. It's just when I'm talking to someone, I'm able to like have a back and forth, I can make good conversation, and I feel confident in doing that, and I don't even need to think about it. That's where I want to get for my level of like external versus internal. And so I think with live streaming, there's like these elements where like for the Realms Session 2, I really wasn't happy with how it went. And I think a part of it was honestly because I had a real life friend like watching it that like kind of made me feel awkward and like I wasn't able to fully convey myself. And so at the start of the stream, I also felt kind of like overwhelmed and just all over the place with like food. I had just started a live stream and then I was like not calm and collected, and so it was like the external was just out on blast, like totally just not what I wanted to, I guess, sort of present as, and it didn't feel good. I don't feel like it was like an accurate representation of who I feel I am, which like right now this feels like who I am, and that was sort of what I wanted to like achieve with live streaming, which I think I'm going to stick with the live streaming a little bit longer just so that I can get practice with this internal-external balance. But I feel like because of like my discomfort, I ended up going the opposite end of the extreme, and I kind of just went mute even though I had a lot of internal thoughts, and like I was doing like the path up above with like the rock and stuff that you saw, which I think came out really good, and like I was thinking about my decision making, but unfortunately I wasn't really able to like vocalize that, so it was kind of like boring to watch, and I tried it a little bit, but I don't feel like it ended up coming out great. So as I was talking about it in like therapy, it's like I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with live streaming moving forward, but like I said, I do really value that, and I want to use live streaming as like practice, mostly for like actual real life encounters and situations, because the same thing, although not as like apparent, it can definitely happen in actual situations when I'm like talking with others. And one thing I'm being like really mindful as well right now is the fact that I've had like a lot of musings sessions lately that I've tried to record that I've just deleted. I talk about it before because it like feels really important for me to address in like my own life, because I don't want to be recording these like hours long sessions where I just like end up deleting it and feeling like I didn't really create something well. And I feel like a really common trend was the fact that it just was too external. It was like I was getting really, I want to say in my head, even though realistically it was like out of my head and I wasn't internally thinking enough. And so I feel like the thing I ended up creating, it wasn't something I wanted to share with the world. I wasn't proud of it. I didn't feel like it really would like benefit anyone and would be like worthwhile to watch unless it was like a lesson of what not to do. But I feel a lot better, and thinking about my previous musings, especially like when I feel like specific instances was like the best of what I wanted to encapsulate for what the, you know, essence of Mewbs' musings really was. And I think that I was just naturally getting that internal-external balance done really well, while also somehow being able to play Minecraft. And that feels like a skill that I've almost lost at this point, or at least have not been able to like maintain. Also, we got some armadillos. And I think, yeah, some of these dogs are mine. Oh, all of these dogs are mine, dang. Well, you can have those. Make yourself something pretty. This is a nice little like drop way. I like how this came out for Sean's base. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps up my like, at least the important points of my thoughts for how I want to maintain this balance of internal versus external. And I feel like it's also just one of my biggest priorities right now in general, which is why I, you know, mentioned before with how much I really enjoyed this therapy session going. I talked with my therapist about how things have been going so far and how they can improve, and I feel like really optimistic about like therapy being like worthwhile to like me specifically, because mindfulness and things like this, you don't have to have like a specific external issue. Like you don't have to have something traumatic happen to you in order for therapy to be beneficial. Right now, I am specifically in therapy to address specific things, but I was kind of like wondering, just like passive curiosity, like I wonder what like long-term therapy looks like for me. Like, am I gonna continue with it? I don't really know, but at least now I could sort of see like, okay, so this is like what it would look like, and like I can understand why it is valuable to have. Also, I guess like I already showcased this off, but it would be something I should probably show anyway. I love how this ice island came out, which is kind of funny that like it doesn't have a specific name. It's just like the ice island. Not even the, it's just like, well, no, it's the ice island. Don't do it. Don't do it, Batman. You have so much to live for. Maybe just get back up. Just get back up. This was actually an orphan that Ali, one of the server members, killed the parents of, so that's why it's Batman the Ice Bear. Which, to be fair, I think from like We Bare Bears, Ice Bear would be the most likely to be Batman. Checks out. So yeah, I guess this will end up being like a mini musings, because I didn't really have a lot to talk about, and this was a very passive thing, but still, I feel good about this. This felt so much better, and like I'm already excited at the prospect of like uploading this. I think just this sort of like experience over the past few months of like after Musings 5 not knowing what to do, I was honestly kind of dumbfounded. There is some, what is this, warped Nifelium missing, so let's repair that. I was kind of dumbfounded at what to do moving forward, because it was just like everything I was recording I wasn't satisfied with for some reason, and I was like trying different things to like approach it in a different way, but it just didn't feel like any of it was really like working until now. I am still going to be cautious, but I am ultimately optimistic that like it will get better, and ignore the fact that I missed that. I would never. So I don't think I've showed off this like interior. I like that I use like tinted glass here, so that for the nether portal it like looks darker looking through it, and it makes like underneath there look so dark. But if we were to like turn shaders off, And then back up a little bit more, eat my carrot, and look. You can see that like it looks noticeably darker as if it is like underneath, and like especially when you weren't zoomed in, like you can still get a sort of feeling that the sword pierces all the way through. I don't know, I just really love how this island came out, as well as with this island and the floating donut. It's fun making floating things. Anyway, the lighting doesn't matter right now. I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully you got something kind of worthwhile out of this, and if nothing else, hopefully you enjoyed watching me. I don't want to say ramble. I feel like this was a little bit more controlled. Hopefully you enjoyed me talking. Hopefully you enjoyed me musing. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Adios. Take care. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Peace. I don't know if that was good. Let's check.